The mayor of Sin City just said something that should terrify every casino owner, hotel worker, and tourist planning a Vegas trip. Standing before cameras with the desperation of someone watching their empire crumble, Mayor Shelley Berkeley didn't just admit Las Vegas has problems. She confessed the city is hemorrhaging money, losing its most valuable visitors, and facing threats that could wipe out nearly a third of its economy. When the person whose job it is to sell Vegas to the world starts begging people to visit, you know the crisis runs deeper than anyone imagined. What she revealed next will shock you. The mayor's desperate plea breaks the silence. Mayor Shelley Berkeley stands at the podium, her voice cutting through the desert air with an urgency that feels foreign in a city built on confidence. As the mayor of Las Vegas, I'm telling everybody, and please come. We love you, we need you, and we miss you. The words hang heavy, each syllable weighted with a desperation that no Vegas mayor has ever publicly displayed. This isn't a marketing campaign. It's a distress call. For decades, Las Vegas masqueraded behind a carefully crafted image of endless prosperity. The lights never dimmed, the money never stopped flowing, and the party never ended. That illusion just shattered against the hard reality of empty hotel rooms and canceled flights. Berkeley's admission cuts deeper than tourism statistics. She's acknowledging that the fundamental promise of Las Vegas, that the good times will roll forever, is broken. The city that convinced the world it was recession-proof, pandemic-proof, and crisis-proof has just had its mayor publicly beg for visitors. The desperation in her voice tells the real story. This isn't about a seasonal dip or a temporary setback. The mayor of America's playground just admitted her city is dying, and she doesn't know how to save it. The $3.6 billion hemorrhage that's crushing Vegas. The numbers behind Berkeley's plea are staggering. Las Vegas has lost $3.6 billion in Canadian tourist spending alone. Money that once flowed through every casino, restaurant, and gift shop on the Strip. That's not just a line on a balance sheet. It's 43,000 jobs hanging in the balance, more than the region's entire manufacturing sector. To understand the scale of this disaster, consider this. Canadian tourists, who make up just 3 to 4% of total visitors, generate enough economic activity to support nearly 50,000 workers. Their absence creates a domino effect that ripples through every corner of the Vegas economy. Tourism accounts for 31% of Southern Nevada's gross domestic product. No other major American city depends so heavily on visitors for economic survival. When those visitors disappear, the entire foundation crumbles. Hotel occupancy has plummeted 15% year over year. Thousands of rooms that once commanded premium rates now sit empty, their darkened windows reflecting the city's dimming prospects. The average daily rate has fallen 6%, erasing years of careful price optimization that casino executives spent decades perfecting. But the real devastation shows in the details. Revenue per available room, the metric that keeps casino CFOs awake at night, is tracking steadily downward. International arrivals, the bellwether for Strip performance, are down 13%. Every empty seat on an incoming flight represents lost wages for hotel staff, canceled shifts for entertainers, and reduced hours for the army of service workers who keep Vegas running. The $85 billion tourism machine that powers Las Vegas is running at partial capacity. And every day brings fresh evidence that the decline isn't temporary. It's structural, deep, and potentially irreversible. The numbers that should terrify every casino executive. June 2025 delivered a gut punch that casino executives are still reeling from. Las Vegas drew 2.75 million visitors, down from 3.1 million the previous year. That 11.3% drop isn't a statistical blip, it's an economic earthquake. Airline data reveals the true scope of the collapse. Air Canada reports 33% fewer passengers flying to Vegas. WestJet is down 31%. Flair Airlines has seen traffic collapse by a devastating 62%. These aren't minor adjustments. They represent hundreds of thousands of missing tourists and hundreds of millions in lost revenue. The first half of 2025 closed with a 7.3% year-to-date visitor decline, erasing most of the post-pandemic recovery that casino marketing departments had celebrated just months earlier. Industry insiders who once dismissed downturns as cyclical have stopped using that word entirely. Caesars Entertainment and MGM Resorts, the titans of the Strip, report tens of thousands fewer room nights sold. Caesars CEO Tom Raig calls the missing Canadian business a significant piece of the puzzle, but that understates the crisis. When your most reliable international market abandons you, the puzzle isn't missing a piece, it's falling apart. Hotel occupancy rates that casinos once took for granted have become a daily source of anxiety. Weekends that used to guarantee full bookings now show gaps. Even prime real estate along the Strip struggles to maintain the occupancy rates that justify the massive overhead costs of mega resorts. The data paints a picture of an industry in freefall, with every metric trending in the wrong direction. For the first time in decades, Vegas executives are questioning whether the traditional model of growth can survive. Political chaos creates fear and confusion. Behind the numbers lies a crisis of confidence that goes beyond economics. The Department of Justice has labeled Nevada a sanctuary state, throwing City Hall into confusion that borders on panic. Mayor Berkeley's response reveals just how unprepared Vegas leadership is for political turmoil. "I don't understand what they've designated. I don't think they understand what they've designated," Berkeley admits, scanning a list of small Nevada towns caught in the same federal dragnet. Winnemucca, Lovelock, West Wendover, places that never asked to be part of a national political fight. When pressed about contact with federal authorities, her answer is stark. "No, and I'm not sure that a conversation would yield any results." There's been no call from Washington, no official warning, just a sudden label and a wave of anxiety that's paralyzing city operations. Federal funding worth over $100 million hangs in the balance, according to city officials, though the number floats unconfirmed, more rumor than fact. Berkeley admits she doesn't know what's actually at stake, calling it a tremendous fear factor that's rippling through every department. The mayor describes Metro Police walking a tightrope, working with ICE when required by law, but refusing to act as immigration agents themselves. It's a delicate balance that satisfies no one and feeds the uncertainty that's driving visitors away. This isn't just political theater. The confusion has real economic consequences. For Canadian travelers already concerned about safety and costs, headlines about sanctuary status and federal funding threats provide another reason to book trips elsewhere. The political chaos has become an economic weapon aimed at Vegas's heart. The Canadian Exodus, when loyalty dies. The collapse in Canadian tourism tells a story that goes far beyond exchange rates or flight prices. Social media threads boil with anger that feels personal and permanent. "Zero chance of me crossing that border," writes one Canadian. Another declares, "I'll never set foot in the U.S. again." The hostility is palpable and political. Travelers talk about guns, about feeling unsafe, about a culture they say has turned hostile. Some point directly to election results. Nevada went for Trump, and Canadian tourists are responding with their wallets. Survey data from travel operators reveals the scope of the rejection. 60% of Canadians now avoid trips to the United States entirely. Even more telling, 40% are actively redirecting their vacation dollars to destinations inside Canada or to Europe. Nova Scotia, Quebec, Prince Edward Island. These places are seeing tourism bumps, fueled by travelers who once headed straight for the Strip. The break feels permanent. Social media feeds that once showcased Vegas trips now feature snapshots from the Maritimes instead of the Mojave. Hockey fans who made Vegas a second home are booking weekends in Montreal. Bachelor parties that built Vegas's reputation are now happening in Toronto. Border crossing data confirms the digital sentiment. Canadian car trips into the United States fell 34% in August 2025 compared to the previous summer, a decline not seen in decades. Every empty customs booth represents lost revenue for Vegas hotels, restaurants, and entertainment venues. For Vegas, this isn't just a market adjustment, it's a relationship rupture. The city's most loyal international visitors have walked away, and no amount of marketing can paper over the deeper reasons they're staying home. Desperate measures when casinos beg for business. Casino executives are abandoning playbooks that worked for decades. Resorts World Las Vegas drops parking fees to zero, a move that would have been unthinkable just months ago. Even resort fees, the hidden charges that boosted revenue for years, are vanishing from select properties. Caesars Entertainment launches a desperate package, 2 nights with all taxes included and $200 in food credits for $300 total. The deal is available at 3 Strip properties, a clear signal that the old pricing model is dead. When casinos that once nickel-and-dimed customers start bundling everything for bargain prices, you know the industry is in full panic mode. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority signs off on a $3.25 million international advertising blitz, targeting the very markets that are abandoning the city. Canadians, Germans, and South Koreans see billboards promising deals, safety, and a return to the Vegas experience. But the message carries an undertone of desperation that sophisticated travelers can easily detect. Ted Papageorge, head of the Culinary Union, gives the crisis a name that sticks: the Trump slump. The phrase spreads through press releases and union meetings, shorthand for a downturn that transcends traditional economic factors. It acknowledges what casino executives privately admit, that international politics and cultural hostility are keeping people away. Industry projections show U.S. tourism losing $12.5 billion in foreign visitor spending this year. Vegas, once the crown jewel of American hospitality, is now scrambling to protect its shrinking share of a contracting market. The fee rollbacks and bundled deals represent desperate attempts to fill rooms that should be printing money. For the first time in years, casino confidence is genuinely shaken. Every empty blackjack seat serves as a reminder that the old formulas no longer work. Ground Zero: how real people feel the pain. On Fremont Street, the economic collapse isn't abstract. It's visible in every empty storefront and shortened business hour. A family-run diner that once stayed open until 2 a.m. now closes before sunset. The owner says weeknights are so quiet, he can hear slot machines from the casino next door echoing through his walls. Down the block, a souvenir shop owner counts 7 customers on a Saturday when he used to serve 50 before noon. The numbers aren't just statistics. They're rent payments that might not get made, employee hours that get cut, and family businesses that face extinction. Bartenders describe shifts where they polish glasses for hours without pouring a drink. Magicians cancel weeknight shows that once provided steady income. Rideshare drivers scroll through their phones, waiting for ride requests that never materialize. Even wedding chapels, icons of Vegas spontaneity, report bookings cut in half. The pain is methodical and relentless. Tip jars that once overflowed now contain pocket change. Restaurant tables that hosted celebrations sit empty under dimmed lights. Gift shops that sold millions in Vegas memorabilia are now liquidating inventory at desperate prices. Small business owners burn through savings, hoping for a turnaround that keeps getting pushed further into the future. Unlike mega casinos that can absorb losses and launch marketing campaigns, local shops face an existential threat. Every missing tourist represents a missed mortgage payment, a delayed supplier payment, or an employee who might lose their job. The human cost of Vegas's decline shows most clearly in these neighborhood businesses. They're the canaries in the coal mine, and their silence signals just how deep the crisis has penetrated. The ripple effect. When tourism dies, everything dies. Las Vegas residents watch the visitor numbers fall and wonder how much further things can slide before something fundamental breaks. Talk of service cuts drifts through neighborhood meetings and social media forums, creating anxiety that extends far beyond the Strip. Parents worry about after-school programs that depend on tourism tax revenue. Seniors ask whether bus routes will be eliminated or meal delivery programs canceled. The city's dependence on visitor dollars means that when tourism suffers, essential city services face the chopping block. Rumors circulate about which departments might face cuts if federal funding disappears. No one has concrete answers. Not even the mayor admits to knowing what's at risk. The uncertainty feeds a growing sense that the safety net that held Vegas together during past downturns might not be there this time. For hourly workers whose livelihoods depend on tourist spending, the fear is immediate and personal. Hotel housekeepers see their shifts reduced. Restaurant servers watch their tips disappear. Casino dealers face shorter schedules and uncertain employment. The ripple effect touches every corner of a city built on hospitality. Trust in city leadership erodes as residents demand answers that officials can't provide. The mayor's public confusion about federal threats and funding risks doesn't inspire confidence in her ability to navigate the crisis. Residents want to know if their city can protect basic services, or if the future holds only more uncertainty. The question haunting Vegas neighborhoods is simple but profound. Can the city rebuild the trust it needs to survive? Or is its legendary luck finally running out? The sanctuary state debacle. Politics meets economics. The sanctuary state designation has created a perfect storm of confusion and economic damage. City officials scramble to interpret federal memos that provide no clear guidance about what the label actually means or what consequences might follow. Mayor Berkeley's bewilderment reflects a deeper problem. Vegas leadership is unprepared for the intersection of national politics and local economics. The city built its success on political neutrality, welcoming visitors regardless of their backgrounds or beliefs. Now, it finds itself caught in cultural and political crossfire that threatens its core business model. The $100 million in potential federal funding cuts represents more than budget numbers. It's a threat to the municipal services that make Vegas attractive to residents and visitors alike. Airport security, convention center operations, and public safety all depend on federal support. Losing that funding would create a cascade of service reductions that would further damage the city's reputation. Metro Police find themselves in an impossible position, trying to cooperate with federal immigration authorities while avoiding actions that might scare away tourists or anger residents. The delicate balance satisfies no one and feeds the uncertainty that's already driving visitors to other destinations. The political chaos has transformed from a policy issue into an economic weapon. Every headline about federal threats gives potential visitors another reason to book trips elsewhere. The sanctuary state designation might be politically motivated, but its economic consequences are measurably real and increasingly devastating. What the future holds: recovery or collapse? The evidence suggests Las Vegas faces a crisis unlike any in its modern history. The combination of economic decline, political uncertainty, and damaged international relationships creates challenges that traditional tourism marketing cannot solve. Casino executives privately acknowledge that the standard recovery playbook, discounted rooms, expanded marketing, new entertainment offerings, isn't working. The problems run deeper than pricing strategies or promotional campaigns can address. When visitors actively avoid your destination for political and cultural reasons, No amount of advertising can overcome their fundamental reluctance to visit. The Canadian market, once considered unshakable in its loyalty to Vegas, appears to have shifted permanently. Social media sentiment, booking patterns, and airline capacity all suggest that the relationship between Canadian tourists and Las Vegas may be irreparably damaged. Federal political pressures show no signs of easing. The sanctuary state designation and associated funding threats create ongoing uncertainty that makes long-term planning nearly impossible. City officials can't develop coherent strategies when they don't understand the rules they're operating under. Local businesses face an extinction-level event. The small shops, family restaurants, and service providers that give Vegas its character beyond the mega casinos are disappearing one by one. Their loss would leave the city hollowed out, dependent entirely on corporate entertainment complexes that increasingly struggle to fill their own rooms. The shocking truth: Vegas built on sand. Mayor Berkeley's desperate plea reveals a truth that Las Vegas has spent decades hiding. The city's prosperity was always more fragile than anyone admitted. Built in a desert with no natural resources beyond sunshine and space, Vegas created an economy entirely dependent on convincing people to visit and spend money. That model worked brilliantly for decades, but it contained fatal vulnerabilities that are now being exposed. When your entire economy depends on discretionary spending by visitors, any factor that discourages travel becomes an existential threat. The sanctuary state controversy, the decline in Canadian tourism, and the broader political polarization of American travel all strike at Vegas's core weakness: its complete dependence on maintaining a welcoming image to visitors from around the world. The shocking truth is that Vegas never developed the economic diversity that might have protected it from tourism downturns. Manufacturing, technology, agriculture, financial services, the industries that sustain other major cities, barely exist in Las Vegas. When the tourists stop coming, there's nothing left to fall back on. Mayor Berkeley's admission that the city is dying isn't hyperbole. It's an acknowledgement of economic reality that Vegas leadership can no longer deny. The question isn't whether the city faces a crisis, but whether it can survive one that strikes at the very foundation of its existence. The party that was supposed to never end might be approaching last call, and even the mayor isn't sure there's anything she can do to keep the music playing.